Yeah, that's a good question. What?
No, sorry. Sorry.
I don't think it was that funny. I was just saying it was a good question.
I'm sorry. I'm making editing complicated.
Welcome to the Book Angle, where we talk about books from different angles and sometimes go in circles. I'm Anna, and this is Sabrina. And today we are going to be talking about some books that you might want to add to your holiday wish list.
I am really excited about this because, this was one of the first years where people reached out to me and they're like, "Oh, we don't know what to get you." So if you're in this situation, we have the answers for you. We are here to guide you for your holiday season.
Yeah, the wish list is the hardest part of this season for me because I have so many books that I want that I can't narrow it down.
Yeah.
Uh, so I usually end up asking for things that are not books, which is a little counterintuitive to this video that we are now making. Because I'm like, if I want a book, I'm gonna find a way to get it, whether it's on my Kindle or the library or just buying it outright. Um, so I have no self control or impulse control when it comes to acquiring books. So this is my time where I normally ask for things that are not books.
Mm.
But that said, we are going to give you some of our recommendations for things to add to your holiday wish list if you need it. if
You need
you
it.
are so inclined.
Well, I think I understand your dilemma, but I think we all need a little book love. Like we all need it. You're just gonna buy it later if you get holiday money. So
Yeah.
you'll get the books that you want anyway. Um, so we have each chosen two books or maybe book series that we have recommended. So there'll be four recommendations total. Anna, do you want to start with your first book
Yeah.
recommendation?
So my first recommendation is a duology, because I can't, in good faith, recommend just the first book because it ends on a cliffhanger, and I think you have to have the second book to feel complete here with this story. So the first book is One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillig, and I read One Dark Window almost exactly a year ago. Um, and
You had to wait a year
I had to
for
wait a year.
Cliffhanger.
So
Okay.
I read it not knowing that it was going to be a duology. So I read it and I was getting really close to the end and I was like, this is a really good book, but I don't feel like I don't feel like anything's getting wrapped up here. Like I feel like I don't know what's gonna happen. And then it ends on a cliffhanger and I was like, oh come on. And I looked up Goodreads when the next book was coming out and it was October.
So your holiday gift to the people is recommending a duology that's complete. You won't put them
Yes.
through the torment that you went through.
Yes, it is complete. The second book is out. I did have to reread One Dark Window before I started Two Twisted Crowns, but I have read both of them recently, and I fully believe that this duology is one of the strongest duologies I've read. Where the second book is so good in comparison to the first book, where it didn't feel like we did any kind of sometimes it feels like when you get into the second book, the characters regress in their character growth to kind of keep the story moving. They almost have to backtrack a little bit. Uh,
Yes.
that did not happen. And I think that she handled the transition to this book really, really well, where we start to focus a little bit more on different side characters that were from the first book and they get more time on the page. And I really loved getting more from those characters in the second book, and it helped kind of like bring up the tension. And it just was really, really well done. Kind of creepy, very dark, gothic kind of vibes, wintry themes. The magic system in this book is also really interesting because it's kind of, it reminds me of I don't want to say tarot because it's not tarot, but there's a deck of cards and the cards are what give people magic. So you basically tap a card and you get the magic from that card. And different types of cards have different types of magic, and they also have consequences. So if you use that card too long, something bad starts to happen to you. So that plays into the world as well. And I just thought it was really, really interesting. The romance is really well done. It just all the way around was a very good book for me. Good duology.
I didn't wait for the holiday wish list to purchase these books because Anna's been talking about them for a while. Sorry, family. But I do have both books and I'm really excited to read it. And you and I kind of have a lull in some of the reviews that we're doing. So I think it's coming. I think I'll read it soon. Um, the book that my first book that I want to recommend, it actually doesn't have wintry vibes. Both of your books have a winter theme. I don't have that. But the book that I wanted to recommend, and I actually don't own this book, but I've recommended it to so many people, is Vera Wong's that why am I holding it up? Like they'll see, but
Yeah.
Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers by Jesse Sutanto. Sutanto, I think that's how you say it. I've talked about this book before. Someone very rudely gave it a 1-star review in one of our previous videos, but it is a really great book about chosen family. And one of the ways that I have described it is if it was raining and I'm feeling just like down in the dumps, I would want to pick up this book because I know I'm guaranteed to laugh at some point because the main character, Vera Wong, is hilarious. And I also would be enthralled by this book because it's a really good mystery. So, the essential premise of this is Vera Wong owns a tea shop in Chinatown, and someone gets murdered in her tea shop. And according to her, she is a Chinese mother with no time or too much free time on her hands. And she is going to solve this murder on her own because the police can't do a better job than a Chinese mother. So, along the way of her solving this murder mystery, you do have chosen family, you have hilarious, like, where were you on this night moments with Vera Wong interrogating people. And it's warm and fuzzy, but that doesn't mean that the mystery is lacking. So I actually shout out to my friend Ella, who texted me one day and said, I am obsessed with Vera Wong. And then the next day texted me, oh my gosh, I just finished Vera Wong. And it's not a short book. She read it very quickly. So I think it would be a great one to add to your holiday bundle. I think you'll read it quickly and you'll just be looking for your next mystery fun book. So definitely recommend it. I wanted Anna to read it too. You got to buy it.
Yeah.
Someone's got to buy it for you.
So, my next recommendation is actually a book that I haven't read in a while, uh, but I'm recommending it because the story has stuck with me. And I do think about this book a lot and I still recommend it a lot. Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. If you've already read Spinning Silver, Uprooted by Naomi Novik is also really good. I'm just going to focus on Spinning Silver because those two books are not a duology and I can't like put them together easily like that. But Spinning Silver is basically a retelling of a fairy tale that well, let me take that back. It's not really a retelling of a fairy tale. It's more like it takes elements of different fairy tales and makes its own thing. I want to read you the back of the book because I am not very good at retelling it because it's been so long since I've read it. When an ill-advised boast draws the attention of the king of the Stark, grim fey creatures who see more ice than flesh, Miriam's fate and that of two kingdoms will be forever altered. Set an impossible challenge by the nameless king, Miriam unwittingly spins a web that draws in a peasant girl Wanda and then the unhappy daughter of a local lord who plots to wed his child to the dashing young czar. So that doesn't give you a ton of information, but the main thing that I loved about this story is that it's a story of three different strong women, and they each are unique in various ways, but they're all in hard situations and you're using their wits and bravery to work through it. And I really appreciate that Novik wrote these characters not only to be strong women, but also we see that they are highly connected to their friends and their family, and the loved ones around them, and it showed that like you don't have to be independent to be, or you don't have to be, let me rephrase, you can be independent and still be well supported by other people. So I really liked that like bonds of familial platonic love that she shows in this story, and there is a little bit of a romance as well, but just the three women, um and the way that she like fluctuated between their POVs, moving the story along, was really, really well done. I never felt like we were going off on a tangent. I felt like she was showing us the same story from different perspectives in a very well thought out and succinct way.
Are you ready for this? I have talked about this book series and my particular reason for it. And it's never really fit in the video because I just was ranting, and now it
It's
fits.
your
Are you
time.
ready for the rant,
I'm
Anna?
ready. I've already
The rant,
heard it, but I'm ready again.
because it's never worked. The book series, and it's a series that I'm going to recommend. You're gonna be like, that's so old. However, um, there's reasons, but I'm actually going to be recommending the Lightning Thief series, well, the Percy Jackson and the Olympians series, because the Lightning Thief by Riordan is actually being turned into a Disney Plus show, and the first episode is airing December 20th. So right in time for holiday season. You probably might want to read The Lightning Thief ahead of time, but after you read The Lightning Thief, you're going to want to read the rest of the series. So you might as well own it. But if you are someone who read this book series in middle school or high school, you might have had your heart broken, as many Percy Jackson fans have, by the atrociously terrible, trashy movies. They were horrible. They were over sexualizing some of the characters. They were higher age. They were changing plot points where all of a sudden Persephone's pearls are like the whole premise of the movie. The author himself has stated that it was just not a well done movie. He didn't promote it. He has released emails where he was like, hey, I feel like you're kind of taking my hard work and putting it through a meat grinder. Really harsh. Like, but I mean, come on. Like, we know. If you know, you know. But now with this Disney Plus series, he has written 4 out of 8 of the episodes for this series. He was a part of many aspects of casting. He wrote a series Bible so that way they could go through and make sure they pay attention to all the plot points. He has also promoted this. His children are excited about this. So if the author of these books is this excited about his series coming out into television, even after widely saying and criticizing the movies, we know it's going to be good. So if you've never read the Lightning Thief series, I don't really care if it's a middle grade novel series, you should read it. I think it's going to be done really well. I'm really excited about it. And also the 6th book, it's the first time in, I think, 15 years. I might be wrong, but he just released his 6th book where the OG main characters and the Lightning Thief came together again, and they're now in college. So highly recommend it. I have never recommended it to, granted, my middle school students, but I've never recommended it to someone and they have disliked it. And I just reread it and I was like, the peoples just have to read it. You got to own it. Like, you have, I mean, Anna, you have to own it. Like, you
I do
just
own
do.
it.
Yes.
I'm currently
Yeah.
reading it.
Yes. Is it just as great this time around?
I think that it's one of those books where I'm reading it again as an adult, and it's not something that I would probably have picked up if I didn't have that nostalgia to it. Um, because it's just like the main character is a young teenage boy, and I'm like, yeah, I don't really relate to teenage boys at this point in my life. However, I am like, yeah, I still really enjoy it. I do still really enjoy it. um Percy is a little bit more immature than I remember him being.
Yeah, he
um
said.
which again, I have to remember, like, I read this series when I was probably 12 or 13, and he's 12 in the series, and he gets older as the books go along, and so I'm remembering a lot of like his character growth and not so much how he is in the first book.
Mhm.
Because I think by the end of the series he's 16, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I'm remembering more of like the 16, 17-year-old Percy that we see in the end of the series and the later series that he kind of crosses over into. Um
I think this is just further proving my point that you have to read the whole series, though, because you have to see the whole character
character
growth
growth,
to
yeah.
really appreciate it, and it's becoming a TV show.
I do think
Like
it I do think he does balance the humor really really well. Where it's not like over the top ridiculous, but it is
Mhm.
really funny at times where like you've got these Greek gods living in New York and like they it's like, well yeah, that's where Western culture is now, like is in the West and they just followed the like basically anyway, yes, I recommend it. I'm about to get up on
Yeah, this is our time, and I have tried to insert this so many times, and I got my chance. So, as we said earlier, we love books. Anna might not buy ask for them for her wish list, but she's probably gonna get money. What recommendations do you have for us? And are you gonna add any of these books to your wish list? You should, but which one are you gonna add?
Yeah, that's a good question. What?
No, sorry. Sorry.
I didn't think it was that funny. I was just thinking it was a good question.
I'm sorry, I'm making editing complicated.
I'm just gonna leave it all in.
Oh no. Oh no.
I did edit it out. It's okay. I'm just gonna stop recording now.
No, we gotta like and subscribe. Okay.
Okay, okay,
Okay.
bye.